The sky above Karthik's prime was never still. It churned like a living thing, bands of violet lightning slicing through thick clouds, illuminating the jagged spires of the Dominion Citadel. Every flash reminded the people below who ruled them. The Empress did not tolerate silence, and even the heavens seemed to echo her will. I stood at the edge of the landing platform, wrists bound in ion cuffs, staring up at that restless sky. "On your knees when she arrives," the guard beside me hissed. His voice carried both warning and fear. "If you value your life." I didn't answer. I had been dragged across half the galaxy, branded a rebel, a traitor, a thief of imperial secrets. Maybe I was all of those things. But kneeling wasn't one of them. The low hum of descending engines cut through the air. Every soldier on the platform snapped to attention. Even the wind seemed to recoil. The Empress had arrived. Her ship was not large, but it didn't need to be. It radiated authority, sleek black metal etched with glowing symbols that pulsed like a heartbeat. When it touched down, the ground trembled, as though the planet itself bowed before her. The ramp lowered, and she stepped out. I had heard stories, of course. Everyone had. The Empress of the Dominion was said to be as merciless as she was brilliant, a ruler who crushed rebellions with surgical precision and commanded loyalty through fear alone. None of that prepared me for the reality. She was tall, draped in armor that shimmered like liquid obsidian. It moved with her, as if alive. A thin circlet of silver rested against her brow, framing eyes that glowed faintly with a cold, unnatural light. But it wasn't her appearance that struck me. It was the silence that followed her. Every whisper, every breath, every sound seemed to retreat as she walked forward. Power clung to her, not just political or military power, but something deeper. Something older. She stopped a few steps in front of me.
"Prisoner," she said. Her voice was calm.
Not loud, not harsh, and yet it carried across the entire platform. The guard beside me shoved my shoulder. "Kneel." I didn't. For a moment, no one moved. The soldiers froze. The air tightened. Even the storm above seemed to hesitate, as though waiting for her reaction. I met her gaze. "You brought me all this way," I said, my voice steady despite the weight pressing down on my chest. "I figured you'd want to look me in the eye." A flicker passed through her expression, so brief I almost missed it. Amusement. Behind me, the guard inhaled sharply, as if expecting me to be vaporized on the spot. Instead, the Empress took another step closer. "Most people kneel," she said. "Most people don't get dragged halfway across the galaxy in chains," I replied. Another flicker, stronger this time. She studied me, not like a ruler examining a prisoner, but like a scientist observing an anomaly. "Release him," she said. The guards hesitated. "My Empress," one began. "I did not repeat myself," she said softly. That was enough. The cuffs around my wrists disengaged with a hiss. I flexed my hands, resisting the urge to rub them. I wasn't about to show weakness now. "Walk with me," she said. It wasn't a request. The interior of the Citadel was colder than I expected. Not physically, though the air had a sterile chill, but emotionally. Everything was sharp, precise, controlled. The walls gleamed with dark metal, reflecting distorted fragments of our movement as we walked. No guards followed us. That alone was unsettling. "You're not what I expected," she said after a while. "Disappointing?" I asked. "Unexpected," she repeated. "You broke into a Dominion archive, stole classified data, and escaped 3 elite units before being captured. And yet you refuse a simple command." "I don't follow orders well. That much is clear." We entered a vast chamber, its ceiling stretching so high it disappeared into shadow. At its center stood a single platform, surrounded by faintly glowing symbols etched into the floor.
She stopped there.
Do you know why you're still alive? She asked. Interrogation? I guessed. If I wanted information, you would have already given it, she said. There was no arrogance in her voice, just certainty. Then why? I asked. She turned to face me fully. Because you interest me. That wasn't the answer I expected. I've executed warlords for less than what you've done, she continued. I've erased entire factions from existence for defiance. And yet, when you stood before me, she paused, studying me again. You didn't kneel. Seems to be bothering you. On the contrary, she said. It's refreshing. I let out a quiet breath. Good to know I'm entertaining. You are more than that, she said. You are a variable. And what does that mean? It means, she said, stepping closer, that you represent something I have not seen in a long time. And what's that? She held my gaze. Choice. The word hung between us. I had a choice, she continued, to destroy you, or to understand you. And you chose the second? For now. I crossed my arms. Lucky me. Her lips curved barely. You're not afraid, she observed. I am, I said honestly. Just not enough to kneel. Something shifted in her expression again. Not amusement this time. Something deeper. Over the next few days, though time inside the Citadel was difficult to track, I wasn't thrown into a cell. I wasn't tortured. I wasn't even confined. Instead, I was observed and questioned. Not the brutal interrogations I expected, but conversations. Long, deliberate exchanges where she probed not just what I had done, but why. Why risk everything to steal Dominion data? Why fight a system that had never been beaten? Why refuse to kneel? At first, I gave her guarded answers. Then, slowly, I stopped holding back. Because someone has to, I said during one of our talks. Because power like yours, unchecked, unquestioned, it crushes everything. And yet, she replied, it also brings order, stability, unity. At a cost. All things have a cost. Then maybe it's time someone decided the price is too high. She was silent for a long moment. You believe you can change this? She asked. I believe it should be changed. That is not the same thing. No, I admitted. But it's a start. She studied me again. Always studying. You speak as if the Dominion is a monster, she said. Isn't it? Her gaze sharpened. I built this empire from chaos, she said. Before me, there was war. Endless conflict. Billions dead. I ended that. And replaced it with control. With peace. Is it peace if no one has a choice? Her expression tightened, just slightly. Choice, she repeated. That word again. It matters.
To you.
To everyone. She turned away, walking toward the edge of the chamber. Choice is a luxury, she said. One that most civilizations cannot afford. Or one they've never been given. Silence fell again. But this time it felt different. Heavier. The shift happened gradually. At first, I didn't notice it. Small things. The way she paused before issuing certain commands. The questions she asked her advisors. The time she spent alone, staring out at the storm-racked sky. One evening, she summoned me again. You've changed something, she said. I haven't done anything. Exactly, she replied. And yet, she trailed off. And yet, I prompted. She looked at me. Your defiance, she said. Your refusal to kneel. It was not born of arrogance.
No.
It was born of belief. I nodded. And that, she said quietly, is far more dangerous. Or more necessary. She considered that. Do you know what happens to rulers who hesitate? She asked. They lose power? They lose everything, she said. Hesitation breeds weakness. Weakness invites rebellion. Rebellion leads to chaos. Maybe, I said. Or maybe it leads to something better. You assume better exists. I believe it does. She stepped closer again, her presence filling the space. And if you're wrong, she asked, then at least someone tried.
For a long moment, she said nothing.
Then softly, and if I chose differently? I frowned. What do you mean?
If I chose you, she said.
The words caught me off guard. You're the Empress, I said. You don't choose people. You command them. Perhaps that is the problem. Something in her voice had changed. Something uncertain. Something human. I was raised to believe that control is the only path, she said. That power must be absolute. That doubt is weakness. And now, she said, I am beginning to wonder if I was wrong. I stared at her, the most powerful being in the Dominion questioning herself. Because of me. That's dangerous, I said. Yes, she agreed. And you're still doing it? She met my gaze. Yes. The council did not take it well. When word spread that I was not only alive, but walking freely within the citadel, the reaction was immediate. Whispers. Accusations.
Demands.
He is a threat, one counselor argued during a gathering I was unexpectedly allowed to witness. A symbol of rebellion. He should be executed, another said. Publicly. He undermines your authority, my Empress. She listened to them all.
Calm. Silent.
Unmoving. Then she spoke.
No.
The chamber fell quiet. He will not be executed, she continued. Nor will he be silenced. With respect, one counselor said, This is a mistake. No, she said again. It is a choice. The word echoed. A ripple passed through the room. You taught us that control must be absolute, another counselor said carefully. I taught you what I believe to be true, she replied. And now? She stood. Now, she said, I am choosing to believe something else. The tension in the chamber tightened. This path will lead to instability, someone warned.
Perhaps, she said.
Or perhaps, she continued, her voice steady, it will lead to something stronger. And him? A counselor asked, gesturing toward me. What is he to you? For the first time since I had met her. She hesitated. Then she answered. He is proof, she said, that I can choose differently. That night, she found me at the edge of the citadel. The storm had calmed slightly, the lightning less violent, the clouds less oppressive. You could leave, she said. I glanced at her. You'd let me? Yes. Why? Because keeping you here would contradict everything I've begun to understand. I studied her. And if I leave? Then you leave, she said simply. No guards. No trackers. No consequences. No. I let out a slow breath. That's a big risk. Yes. Why take it? She stepped closer. Because I am choosing, she said, to trust you. I shook my head slightly. You barely know me. And yet, she said, I know enough. Silence stretched between us. You expected me to kneel, I said finally. Yes. And now? She looked at me, not as a ruler, not as an observer, but as something else entirely. Now, she said softly, I am choosing you. The words carried more weight than any command she had given. Why? I asked. Because you reminded me that power without choice is not strength, she said. And that perhaps I do not have to rule alone. I looked out at the horizon, at the world she had built, at the empire she was willing to change. This won't be easy, I said. I know. You'll face resistance. Maybe even rebellion. I know. And you're still choosing this? She met my gaze. Yes. I exhaled slowly. Then, after a moment, good, I said, because I wasn't planning to kneel. A faint smile touched her lips. I would have been disappointed if you did. Ending. The Dominion did not transform overnight. Empires never do. There were uprisings, challenges, moments where the old ways threatened to reclaim their hold. The council fractured. Some leaders resisted. Others adapted. But something fundamental had shifted. The Empress no longer ruled through unquestioned control. She ruled through choice. And more importantly, she allowed others to choose as well. Worlds that had once been silent began to speak. Systems that had been bound by rigid order started to evolve. It was messy, imperfect, uncertain, but it was real. And in the heart of it all, she stood, not alone, but changed. As for me, I stayed, not as a prisoner, not as a subject, but as something far more dangerous to an empire built on control. A voice, a reminder, a choice. And sometimes, when the storms above Karthik's prime grew quiet, we would stand together at the edge of the citadel, looking out at a future neither of us could fully predict. You still refuse to kneel, she said once, a trace of amusement in her voice. Always will, I replied. She nodded, as if that answer satisfied something deep within her.
Good, she said.
Because, in the end, she hadn't needed me to kneel. She had needed someone who wouldn't. And that was why, when the moment came, she didn't command me. She didn't conquer me. She chose me,